I don't know. I can't explain it. But that's the war. When you take a step back, though, that's the war that they can win, and
Great.
that's there'll be people that a majority of people will believe it, which will extract him from this mess that the U.S. is in, without making the big decision. I think that's the key part. He's unable to make the big decision, which is to walk away.
Let's talk about some politics. Let's go to the bad part of the interview.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Some
There's
geopolitics.
so much going on. Where to begin?
Where to begin? I would like to begin with Victory Day.
Yes.
That's less than 48 hours from now. And that smells so bad to me. Well, how do you think the developments of the international relations and the crazy people and, the Eastern reason, let's call it like that, how do you see the developments of this particular point of time that we are about to reach?
Well, we've got to get through May 9th and May 10th. There's a lot of tension as to what's going to happen. Will Ukraine actually try to strike Moscow with some sort of a drone or something? The chances are slim that they'll get anything through, but you don't know. We don't know. They've received a lot of warnings from the United States. Allegedly, the United States has warned Ukraine. Who knows? But
Okay.
I think now it's confirmed that China has definitely not warned Ukraine. They actually went through France and Great Britain, and they told France and the UK, "You better tell your puppet to stop
behave.
talking this nonsense." Yeah, to behave. It looks like Zelensky's not behaving. It looks like he's not behaving because every day we're seeing drone strikes trying to penetrate Moscow, trying to scare off people, trying to scare off world leaders. He's trying to take some part of Kursk as well. He's sending just wave after wave of soldiers to certain annihilation, which shows you how much he cares about his military, by the way. But he's sending them into certain annihilation just so he could occupy just some piece of Russian territory, so he can come out with some sort of a statement and say that Ukraine has captured some part of Russian territory during the May 9th parade. It just shows you how much of the war that was conducted and that is being conducted by the Zelensky regime and by the collective West is about optics and media and media spin. But that's the war. When you take a step back, though, that's the war that they can win, and that's why they focus so much on it. One thing that we're realizing about NATO, about the collective West, even with the United States and what's happened in Yemen recently, is that when it comes to the reality of conflict, they don't do very well. But where they really excel is on the media, optics, information side of things.
Yeah, Trump just basically declared victory against the Houthis.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won.
Yeah, sure. If he says it, if he says it, okay. If he can get all of the media channels to report this as well, great. There'll be people that a majority of people will believe it. That was the point of the statement. And when he made that statement, I couldn't help but think that this is exactly what he is trying to do with Ukraine. It's not that Trump doesn't want to stop the war. It's not that Trump likes war. He doesn't. I believe he doesn't like war. I believe he wants to. If he was given a choice to stop the conflict in Ukraine, I believe he would choose to stop the conflict in Ukraine. I think there's a lot of forces at work that are pushing and pulling in different directions, and he's not confident enough to handle all of these different forces. And I think he's looking for a way to spin the conflict in Ukraine to be like what he just said about Yemen. He's looking for a way. He couldn't get it in the ceasefire. He couldn't get it in the ceasefire because Russia's looking for a solution that's long-term and addresses the root causes. Trump wasn't looking for that. He's looking for an announcement that he can make to the media, which will extract him from this mess that the U.S. is in, without making the big decision. I think that's the key part. He's unable to make the big decision, which is to walk away. He can't do it for various reasons. He just can't do it. So he's looking for another way out. And I think the Houthi Yemen thing kind of gave us a glimpse as to what he's trying to do with a much deeper conflict, a real war. I mean, Houthis, they're hitting ships, but what's going on in Ukraine is a huge war.
He's perhaps, trying out how these things are going to, how this thing of the Houthis, which is a small deal for him, how this is going to spin out, perhaps to see how it's going to work it out with Ukraine.
Yeah.
More or
I mean,
less.
take a look at both situations. Like take a step. Okay, so once on the one hand, you have this big war that is happening in Europe. On the other hand, you have the Houthis who are hitting ships in the Red Sea. But in both instances, there are forces in the White House who would like the United States to not deal with these things and focus on America first. But there are powerful forces, maybe even more powerful forces in the White House and in Congress, the neocon forces that are saying, no, we need to escalate. We need to escalate in Ukraine, and we need to escalate in Yemen. We need to escalate in Ukraine because it's really not about Ukraine. It's about regime change in Russia. And we need to escalate with Yemen because it's not really about Yemen. It's about regime change in Iran. And so they're very different dynamics, obviously, very different dynamics. But in back of this is really the same type of forces at work, at play here. And here you have Trump, and he's trying to approach them in a very similar manner. He's saying, I can't really go against the neocons, but maybe I can find a way out of this. Or am I just going to have to default and escalate? So this is where we are with both scenarios.
Yeah, I think all the scenarios. It really, I was having a conversation just today. I was watching your last before the last video with Alexander on the Duran channel, and you were saying exactly this. The guy is not fixing anything.
No.
100 days. First of all, he would end the war in Ukraine in a week. Then, well, perhaps we're going to have 100 days. We met 100 days and nothing. And he hasn't fixed, smallest things. Ukraine, as I think you perfectly said it, Ukraine was very easy. Just, we're out. We don't want, we never want, this was never our war, because until, end of last year, it was forbidden to say it was a proxy war. Now it's his war. Now it's becoming his war. I watched the other day an interview with Doug McGregor, where he says something very interesting. That's, we don't know because we do not, when I say we, I say me. I don't have access to these kind of people, insiders. But Doug McGregor said something very interesting, that he was talking to someone he knows that works for the White House. And this someone was telling him, we need one little victory to Trump. One little one. And it looks like this little one that's not coming, this little victory that's not coming from anywhere, is just keeping them bogged down on everything. Plus, they, out of nowhere, he started the tariff war with China. What do you think about this? This is completely insane in my view. How do you see this?
Yeah. He's not, correctly, you said it, he's not fixing the problems in foreign policy, and he's opening up new battles, an economic battle with China. To be fair to Trump and his administration, he started off really well with Ukraine. Okay, he made the decision, and we said it for a long time that the correct decision would have been if on January 21st his first announcement was, "I'm out of this." That would have been the correct decision. He didn't do it.
Not my
Okay, we
war,
accept it. We
Biden
accept it.
war.
Yeah. Okay, fine. We accept it. But at least he came into it saying, "I'm not going to walk away." Okay. But at least he said, "I'm going to talk to Russia and I'm going to have dialogue with Russia." And he did that. And he spoke to Putin. And as you said, we now understand that, I mean, people that haven't been following the war so closely understand this was and is indeed a proxy war, that this is Russia fighting against all of NATO, that this is Russia at war with the United States. The New York Times has reported on this. The Washington Post has reported on this. So everyone now understands the situation. Everyone now understands who Zalinsky is. But it's there. That's where it stayed. And it just seems that he's, for some reason, he's not prepared. Forces more powerful than him are not letting him. I don't know. I can't explain it. But for some reason, the administration is not taking the next and final step that will extract the United States from this mess. And they're heading for a big loss if they don't get out of this. And with each passing day, it's getting worse and worse for them. If they don't get out of Ukraine, then they're going to take a big loss in Ukraine, and all the other problems that can be resolved. Iran, the nuclear issue with Iran, the big one, which should be his focus for the entire administration, which should be Gaza, the two-state solution, Palestine, Israel. That should be his focus. He can't even get to that. And then he has China. And you know, China was not, it wasn't a surprise to us because we were reporting on this during his first term. We actually did videos. If you go way back to the Duran's videos, we actually did videos where we said that Trump in his second term, if he were to win re-election, he's going to manage a divorce with China, but it'll be a managed divorce, and China will be okay with it. China will be okay with it as well, as long as there's dialogue and they both agree how to do it, and there's going to be a decoupling, but it'll be very managed. He didn't get reelected. He's come into office now. He didn't get reelected in 2020. He's come into office now, and he right away he put this tariff war, not only against China but against the world, and it didn't go well in the beginning, and then all the focus started to shift on China. At first he made it this Global Liberation Day. It didn't go as he was expecting it to go, and then everyone shifted onto China, and they made it about China. I don't think it started off about China. It wasn't about China in the beginning, but because it wasn't going so well, and the countries weren't folding as perhaps his team thought they would, they decided to spin it. Once again, it's all about spin, and they spinned it into a U.S.-China thing. But it didn't start out like that, and I think this is the problem that Trump has in his first 100 days, is that he's getting bad advice. People are telling him things are going to be easier than they actually are. He seems to be in a rush to do things, especially with foreign policy, not understanding that things take time. And when things go bad and when things are not working out the way his advisors have told him it's going to work out, they then spin it into this different thing, and they try to put different optics on it. It's not working.